For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. Israel carried out a series of heavy airstrikes across Syria as its forces reportedly advanced deeper into the country. This according to Syrian opposition monitors today. The strikes came days after the overthrow of President Bashar Assad. However, Israel denied reports that its troops were nearing Damascus. Trent Murray reports.
Well, we are here at the border between Israel and Syria, where it is now an active military operation. IDF troops and tanks moving in to that former demilitarized zone there behind me, seizing that territory in the wake of what has happened with the fall of Bashar al-Assad. Also, a number of airstrikes, 300 at last count. The IDF is targeting former Syrian army bases, weapon storage areas and airfields. They say that they are concerned that those deadly weapons could fall into the hands of extremists given what has happened in Syria. The US Air Force also joining that mission, targeting ISIS camps. Trent Murray at the Israel-Syria border.
Meanwhile, Syria's opposition forces are in talks to take formal control of the country after the sweeping offensive that captured swaths of territory. Opposition leader Ahmed al-Sharaa, also known as Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, met outgoing Prime Minister Mohammad Gaza Jalali on Monday to discuss the transition. Al-Jalali, who served under Assad, has agreed to transfer power to Hayat Tahrir al-Sham's Syrian Salvation Government. Mohammed al-Bashir, Prime Minister of the Syrian Salvation Government that controlled much of northwest Syria and the Idlib province during the Syrian civil war, has been named as the caretaker Prime Minister of Syria's transitional government until March of next year. He announced his new role in a televised statement today. Sagar Magani has more.
What's next in Syria? It may depend on what the rebel alliance now controlling much of the country decides. So far, the group led by a former top al-Qaeda militant has said it wants representative government with power sharing and religious tolerance. Mideast expert Hayed Hayed at London's Chatham House says the international community must move fast.
That sort of positive atmosphere is crucial, but might not last long.
Here in Washington, they're welcome statements, but
the real measure of their commitment is not just what they say, but what they do.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
History shows how quickly moments of promise can descend into conflict and violence.
Blinken says the U.S. has clear interests in Syria, and top officials are fanning out across the Mideast to talk about how America can back the Syrian people, while the military has moved to ensure ISIS cannot take advantage. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to knock down the corruption charges against him as he took the stand in his long-running trial. The testimony today set off what's expected to be a weeks-long spectacle that will draw unwelcome attention to Netanyahu's legal woes as he faces an international arrest warrant for alleged war crimes and the fighting in Gaza continues. Netanyahu is charged with fraud, breach of trust, and accepting bribes in 3 separate cases. He is accused of accepting tens of thousands of dollars worth of cigars and champagne and exchanging favors with wealthy associates. Netanyahu denies wrongdoing, saying the charges are a witch hunt. Court records show that New York prosecutors have charged a man with murder in the fatal shooting of United Healthcare's CEO. Ben Thomas reports.
Manhattan prosecutors have filed murder charges against Luigi Mangione in last week's killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The 26-year-old remains jailed in Pennsylvania, where he's charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm, forgery, and providing false ID to police after his arrest at a McDonald's in Altoona. Court documents indicate he was sitting looking at a laptop in the rear of the restaurant wearing a blue medical mask. Police say a customer noticed him and an employee called 911. Altoona police responded, and Officer Tyler Fry says when he and his partner asked the suspect to lower his mask,
he didn't even think twice about it. We knew that was our guy.
The criminal complaint notes they asked if he'd been to New York recently, at which point Mangione became quiet and started to shake. In his backpack, they found a black 3D printed pistol and 3D printed silencer. The Ivy League graduate came from a prominent Maryland real estate family. In a statement, cousin Nino Mangione, a Maryland lawmaker, said the family was shocked and devastated and offered prayers to the slain CEO's family. I'm Ben Thomas.
I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.